right, y'all. So I'm getting off of work and I am heading home, right? And I just wanted to come tell y'all. I don't even know why I'm whispering. I just wanted to come tell y'all about my patient experience, right? When I tell y'all I'm telling y'all, since I've done that damn ritual, a bitch has been grounded as fuck. And just the shit that I'm like experiencing is just, it's like blowing my mind every day, like literally just every single day, right? So I'm passing medicine and I get to this woman room. She's my last one on that hallway, and then I was going back to my other hallway, because I still be out there fucking with the little old people because somebody gotta take care of them, right? And this particular facility is like cleaner, like they real upper echelon type shit. So I was like, I don't mind going out there. So y'all, I go into this woman room, like I knock on the door. I'm like, hey, I have your nighttime medicine. And one of the first things that kind of hit my mind was she had this bear sitting in the chair. I don't know why this bear caught my attention. It caught my attention. But then as I kept looking and like scanning the room in a sense, I'm noticing all the different things she has. And I see a bunch of bird feathers laying out on her table. And so, I'm telling like, hey, I got your medicine. And I'm just looking at everything that she has. And I think what caught my attention? It may have been the feathers that genuinely caught my attention. And so I eventually walk around her bed to go look at the table because she just had like a bunch of different things set out on the table. Y'all, she had like rocks that were painted. She had feathers, like I said. She had about 9 feathers on that damn table. She had like these wand looking things. Like, she just had a lot of fucking shit on that damn table. So, I see her Buddha statue. She got a big Buddha statue sitting on the floor. I said, oh, you have a Buddha statue? She was like, I'm Buddhist. She was like, really? She considers herself Buddhist Christian. And so we get off on this whole tangent of spirituality. Y'all, tell me why this woman was a damn acupuncturist. I ain't even going to give y'all too many details on it because then somebody might be able to identify her. But y'all don't know, but I was going to go back to school to practice acupuncture. I was going to relocate to California and everything, which I still want to relocate there. But I really was looking at the school and I was just trying to figure out how am I going to get the money to go to school? Because school, I think their schooling was 3 years. And they had, I don't remember what school it was, but they had a school in San Diego, and then, that looked like a cop, y'all, hold on. Nah, never mind, that ain't no cop looking like that. But, their schooling was 3 years. They had one in San Diego, and I love San Diego. I love the environment of San Diego, let me be specific. San Diego is very clean, compared to LA and shit. It's very clean, and the drive down is just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And then I want to say I think they had a location in Seattle. I don't want to go to no Seattle. Yeah, I don't. That ain't for me. Seattle won't see me, right? But y'all, it was just such a beautiful exchange. Tell me how I end up starting early and getting behind. I didn't realize I had talked to her for so long. And when I mean so long, apparently I was in there 30 minutes. And it's so funny to say that because it'd be that's what happened when you be in time warps and you in vortexes. You don't realize time just passing by because time within itself is an illusion. Time truly does not exist, right? So she just talking, she telling me how she studied, she met the Dalai Lama, and I'm just like, well, how did you connect with him? She was like, in my dream. I was like, oh. Mind you, she's on the memory care unit. She was like, she practiced acupuncture for 20 years, and the wands that she had on her table, that caught my attention too, because it had like I don't even know what to call them, but like it's a certain design. Maybe pentagrams, maybe, but they had them like on the circle, and like it was, the top looked metal. Like she said they help to guide the energy when doing acupuncture. And y'all, I'm a Reiki practitioner, and that's why I told her, I was like, I'm a Reiki practitioner. And when I said, that woman kind of jumped for joy. She was like, oh my gosh, you can do something on me. And I'm like, I definitely will, my girl. Like, yes ma'am. And I was like, well, what time do you go to bed? She was like, I really try to go to bed early. And she was like, I was like, well, I'll peek in here at you, and if you sleep, I'm not gonna bother you. But I was like, if not, I said, I will come back and do a session for you. She was like, you may want to like come in the morning. They may be fussing and shit like that if you in here at night, which I'm the fucking nurse. Who the fuck about to fuss at me for being in here doing patient care with you? But that's a whole nother motherfucking story. But and that's why I told her, I said, I've been working in this area a lot lately, so like it ain't nothing, baby. It ain't nothing for me to come back and do a Reiki session for you. Like, I really, like, it truly was like our spirits connecting, because then, she was like, well, how did you end up here? Like, like, well, tell me about yourself and stuff like that. And, I was just asking, like, well, what are some of the, the things that you've done? What's some of your favorite places you visited? And she was just like, like, I've visited so many different places. Like, it's hard for me to say. And then that one wand she had, matter of fact, when she picked that wand up and she took it across her arm, I felt the energy bounce off of it. Like, for real. And she was like, she got them from Vietnam. She was like, she would go back and forth to Vietnam a lot because one of her teachers, her mentors, was there, right? And she was just talking about how, like, practicing acupuncture, it took her to so many different places. And that's why I asked her, I was just like, well, how are you connecting to like get to travel to all these places to do these things? She was like, well, like, long as you licensed and stuff like that. But that was a question that even I wanted to ask my mentor, like, how are y'all connecting with the people like in other parts of the world? And I don't mean like social media, or I mean maybe it is like some social media type situation, making connections, but like, no, like how I get in touch with somebody over, okay, for example, I want to go to Mexico for the Day of the Dead, right? I probably should have said that in Spanish, so TikTok don't try to play this video. But she said she did visit, and she was like, it's a beautiful mix of devotion and joy, right? And I really want to go experience that. And I'm just like, who do I need to align with? Like, it's one thing for me to fly out there and just kind of be in the mix, but like, how do I make these connections to like, have these experiences? Like, I don't really know. But they want to take, it was so dope. It was so dope. And so then she was, telling me about her family. Her family, like, really didn't, believe in what it was that she was doing. It was hard for her to get licensed in our state because they didn't really believe in it at that time. And then, of course, it's holistic care. Y'all, it was really such a beautiful experience. And I was so grateful. So great. And then, bitch, she pulled out a motherfucking selenite wand. It wasn't a wand, it was a motherfucking knife. I'm thinking, girl, do they even know you got this? Like, she was like, nah, like, it really helps with the energy. Yo. Yes. But y'all know what too, though? a bunch of Buddha statues too. And my sleeve on my left arm, ironically, is my left arm, is Thai themed. And the tattoo behind my left ear, ironically, is the Thai symbol for grace. But my sleeve is dedicated to Thailand because for my 25th birthday, I went to Thailand, and like the temples and like the statues, like everything was so beautiful. Like I loved that, you know, even like down to the outfits, you know, the customs and things like that. So I understood, you know, how she felt about, like I'm Buddhist. She was like, how do I meet the Dalai Lama? And pretty much what she was saying is she seen the Dalai Lama in her dream, and pretty much she tracked him down. She did her research, like, who is this that came to me, right? So she was just like, you don't just like meet the Dalai Lama. And she felt like how could you not convert? Like, someone who is for peace and love, like, why would you not want to follow that, right? But then, you know, also, it's something that I'm telling y'all, and I'm trying to remember it. Oh, we was talking about energy and in the hands, because Reiki, the energy is in the hands. I just felt like it charged up when I said that. Acupuncture works with, you know, the energy systems. I think it's the meridians. If it ain't the meridians, it's the nadis that they're sticking the needles in to, you know, kind of balance out the chi. I hope I ain't quoting this wrong for y'all. But she has a titanium plate in her arm, hand, one of them. I said, I could see how that would impact your energy, you know, flowing through your hands. She said, well, actually, because, you know, I'm like, because it's metal. She's like, well, actually, my plate is titanium. She said, if it wasn't titanium, I wouldn't have allowed them to do it. She was like, you know, titanium is a little bit better quality metal or whatever. And she was like, honestly, I guess she was trying to explain like it was a good conduit for energy versus like some of the other metals, because like I had never thought about that. Like I've never had a reason to truly think about that, how these metals in our bodies impact our energy. But what I will say is, I know I had my birth chart read. Shout out to Lindsay down there in Mexico doing her thing down there, delivering the babies and all that good stuff. But she has a facility down there, and I told her I wanted to come and get a full body scan, because pretty much it scans your body, and like it'll flag like where issues are within your body, and where infection is growing, like, you know, kind of like a CT, MRI and stuff like that. But she was telling me how she had one client who had fillings. She had to find her another dentist to get them fillings out of her mouth, because essentially the inflammation and stuff that she was having in her body was coming from her fillings, like those metal silver caps and shit. That's what was impacting it, right? So I was like, damn, now I need to go down the motherfucking rabbit hole about this shit, because like it really makes you wonder. Because especially I started out in orthopedics, and baby, if you know anything about ortho surgery, baby, they be out there and like motherfucking carpenters and builders and shit. Like it's a lot of heavy metal and rods and shit going in places, like, and I never thought to consider how that may actually impact us spiritually, not spiritually but energetically, right? But honestly, what really kind of was truly pulling at my heartstrings, what genuinely kind of impacted me was she's here in a facility in a memory care unit, which, you know, I got my own ideas about that and everything, right? But essentially she was saying, like, how in the world did I get here? Like, I practice holistic, you know, health and stuff like that. And she's a petite woman that even she got a sign on her door. It's like, no, like, you have to allow her to go outside as often as possible. Because that was one thing I noticed about her. I was like, damn, she looked kind of tan. Not like Cushing's, not Cushing's, like not like Addison's disease tan, but she genuinely looked tan, right? But one thing I want to say is, even though we practice holistic care, we practice energy work and all these things, sometimes we are still not exempt from the things of the world. Just like Donna Eden, I believe she would end up having a heart attack. She didn't pass. She's still alive and well. End up having surgery, and so many people. And I'm sorry if I misquoted it, but I believe that's what it was. But people were like, "Oh, like you do so much energy healing. Like, why? How did it happen?" Y'all, it's not energy work necessarily ain't like a means to an end. Like, life still occurs. We're still in this fleshly body that's going to break down over time, you know. But pretty much we try to do the best that we can to preserve what we have, you know. But like, that genuinely broke my heart, because I get what she meant. Like, I did, you know, I was doing all the right things and my beliefs, and I still end up in a damn facility in a memory care. But truly, like, it really could be worse, because she really was in her right mind. And I was just like, well, how has your experience been? Because then she was asking me how my experience has been, and just kind of overall being a nurse and being an energy worker too. Like, because to some degree they clash hard, right? But she was like, you know, for the most part, she's had a good experience. But she was like, you know, it took some time. She was like, it's still some things that they really don't, like, respect about my beliefs as being Buddhist and stuff like that. You know, I'm just like, well, what things are occurring? She was like, I can be in here meditating and chanting, and they just, oh, what are you doing? You know, I was like, well, you need to put your little sign on the door, like, meditating, do not come in. She was like, I did have a sign. So now it's just giving, oh, y'all some little wicked ass spirits. Like, because not you in here trying to be fucking nasty, right? But damn, they light is bright. But, you know, I genuinely feel bad for her. But I definitely will be making my way back to do a session for her. Like, I would truly be honored, because I know that was one of the paths that I truly had considered going down. I know that schooling was expensive too, but I was just, you know, just trying to figure out, like, how in the world could I navigate school and trying to relocate, because I called the school and they was just like, nah, like, it's like, baby, this ain't hybrid. Like, you would have to be here. And though I wasn't opposed to that, I wasn't sure that I was capable of doing it at that time in life. I didn't see a way to successfully execute that. But y'all, it's literally so many things I want to do. And that's why I told her, I was like, girl, I feel like I done lived so many lifetimes. She was like, girl, I done had 6 different careers. So she was like, nah, like, I definitely understand. And so yeah, shout out to the Soul Sisters.